What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You see, we're in a different setup today. We got a special guest. Is your hair still green?
It's blonde now.
It's blonde now. It's blonde. We're joined by. I'm not even gonna say LIBAN from SDS because it's LIBAN from LIBAN's YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you.
Ten Hag supporter.
I dropped the SDS tag. I dropped the SDS tag.
Yeah, there's no SDS stuff around us right now. We dropped that. But big up to LIBAN for joining. Not the first time on the channel. Always great to have you here. This is the day after a heavy defeat against Brentford. And this is it's low-key a little bit of therapy. I can't lie. This is a little bit of therapy. I've been getting cooked by my family, my friends. They're all non-United fans. And I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah.
But I want to know, because if you lot don't know, for some context, by the way, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. If you didn't know, LIBAN was probably one of the staunch supporters of Amarim.
Don't do that.
No, you were. You were.
I wasn't staunch.
Even Saeed was complaining about you.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. No. I've always been very clear with Amarim. I've always said that my take was, I'm going to give him grace. Last season for me was a write-off, but write-off in the sense that I felt like it was more of a sink or swim situation for the players.
Okay.
I just felt like because he was in such a mess, I just felt like I gave him the grace to say, I want you to get a summer, and then I want certainty next season that if you are not the guy, then you need to go. But I didn't have the certainty that I wanted. I didn't have the clarity that I wanted, that whether or not Amarim was the right guy. And that was just because of what he had inherited, unfortunately. And I think that's what kind of clouded my judgment. And that's why I was on the side of like, I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know if it will work, but I want to be able to at least have that answer come next season. And obviously some people were like, no, Europa League final loss, cut him now. We've been playing shocking, which is justifiable. And I never disagreed with that. I said, if people feel like that, they're justified to feel like that, because he never really gave us anything to kind of hold on to. But my thing was, I just didn't want him to fall in the trap of what ifs. What if he stayed on? I don't like the ifs. Like, what if he stayed? What would have happened? Do you know what I mean? And there's no guarantee also that another manager comes in will automatically, guarantee success. So I just felt like, just give him a summer, get him players, let him get rid of players, and then we'll make our judgment. That was my take. I didn't care. I didn't care about Amarim himself.
Nah, because I felt like you were very invested, but all of us were. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and act like nobody wanted Amarim to succeed. I remember when he first came in and seeing pictures of him walking through Manchester in the Montclair, and everyone's like, "Oh my God,
like Aura.
His first game, he's coming out wearing white shoes." Everyone's like, "Aura." He's squatting on the touchline. I remember that so vividly. Everyone getting so gassed. The only thing I could think at that time was, how can you squat for that long on the touchline and your legs are not hurting? Number one, you must be a madman. You have to be a madman. But for me, I'm more disappointed. I'm disappointed. It's underwhelming as well, because I was of the notion that, I'm not going to lie, coming in, I felt like Europa League loss, it could have been a blessing in disguise for a team that struggled with any sort of consistency in football. Because I think under Amarim, we struggled. The league is your bread and butter, right? Yeah. We struggled with any sort of form. That poor guy can't even cut his hair. He can't. And you know what's so funny? Yeah? He's doing it for 5 wins, yeah? But what would have made it even funnier for me, and I say this all the time, is if he said, I'm not cutting my hair until United get back-to-back Premier League.
That would make it worse. That would make it worse. And also, that would have made it more clear.
Yeah, that would make it... I think even Ineos might have been like, oh my God, this guy that can't cut his hair for back-to-back wins, there's a problem.
Yeah,
there's really a problem at hand.
Yeah.
And coming into this season, I was a lot more optimistic. I'm not going to lie. A lot more optimistic, just because I thought that, again, despite what happened last season, I thought maybe Man United under Amarim will find a way to play football without reverting to... And this, for me, is my ignorance. I'm going to say it's my ignorance, because I fully believe that Amarim wouldn't persist, despite the fact that he
That's why I'm disappointed.
Yeah, he told us many times, I'm going to play... And I think if a manager has publicly said after a loss against Grimsby, if they want to sack me, they can do it. January, he's gone to them and said, I don't think I'm the guy for the job. After Europa League, he wants to leave again. 3 different times, he's kind of hinted at the idea of leaving. For me, that is a manager himself that is doubting whether he can turn the situation around. And I feel it's unfortunate for him in a way, because I think that it's kind of sucked the energy and the light out of him. He's not the same guy that walked in November 15. I
feel like every manager that comes through the Man United doors, just they got their eyes are darker, they're losing hair. It's mad. It's just like, I feel like they come in and they just look.
They got a vibe, full of life.
And then by the time they leave, they're just like, it's like they've seen a ghost.
It's like me when I started uni, and then when I finished uni,
you're just coming out like thinking,
oh my God,
yeah, this is a
I'm
mad
in
thing.
debt.
Yeah,
3 years.
everything.
Oh my, I need to find a job.
Nah, it's mad. It's just my thing with especially after the Brentford game, is his persistence to continue playing the same system without any adjustments, without any changes, playing people out of their best positions. I just feel like it's got to a point where if this is the best product you can give us, if this is the best football that we can see with your system, something has to change.
Okay.
Something has to change, because if not, then unfortunately you're going to be the one that needs to be changed. Because I feel like I look at managers around the league, Eddie Howe, Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, Enzo Maresca. You can name every single top manager in this Premier League that have found ways to adapt, found ways to change, to get the best out of the group of players they have. You look at Man City, Pep Guardiola. We know him for some of the best football that we've ever seen in history. When you look at that Barcelona team, when you look at his early Man City teams, and even he went and said, listen, I got to adapt to my place. I got to adapt to the way they're playing now, their strengths. When I signed Donnarumma, who does not fit the natural profile of his style of football. But why? Because he noticed my team concede too many shots. So I need a shot stopper. Do you understand? Like it's the
find
fact
a problem
that
and
you
then
find
you
a problem and
address
you find a solution to your problem. I just feel like with Amarim, he's so stubborn to the point where he chooses to ignore problems to the detriment of the team.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing Bruno out of his best position. You're not even playing Mainu. You're making Cunha and Mbeumo two of the best attackers last season in the top 5 statistically. You're making them now look average. The problem is you, brother. Like the more I watch Man United, the more evidence I get that he is the problem.
Like last season.
I did, but then it's like there were caveats to it. There were a lot of caveats to that. Now it's like, bro, can you just put two games
on the
back
board.
to back on the board, please?
But also for me, it's the biggest problem for me. Yes, it's the results, it's the tactics, etc. Shoehorning players into positions that they don't fit. You know, but it's also the stubbornness.
Yes.
Because for me, if something is not working, especially like if you're in a job role and you know you're trained in a way to do something, and you got a preferred style of way of doing stuff. If it's not working, you will, you will kind of nitpick to see where the issue is and then find the solution.
And then naturally you change.
That is, I think that's applicable to any job role. Like, I'm a presenter, guys. If I feel like, again, when I prepare for my interviews, I will do research on the player, see what their personality is like, and then I'll switch up my questions to make them comfortable so that I can get the best out of them.
To the player.
To the player. I'm not coming there with, smiles and that, and then I'm getting a cold player, and then I'm just thinking, oh, they're not really giving me much to work with. Oh, well,
I'm gonna just exactly.
I'm still going to record the video. I'm not going to do that. And I think it's a very average comparison, but I think that's applicable to any kind of football manager. Right. And you named, obviously, Pep, even I think Areola, who lost some important players in his team this season, in the summer, manages to adapt and find a way to kind of get the best out of those players. And he even said it in an interview as well with, I think it was with TNT on the weekend, where he was saying that, he's got good relationships with every team that he's ever been at as a player and a manager, because relationships with players and staff was always important to him, because he knew that brought the environment of what the players are around. Whereas, I'll be honest, I think when Amarim came in, and I'm saying this in hindsight, I think everybody was excited about this whole, the bomb squad. Oh my God, he's getting rid of this guy. He's getting rid of Anthony. He's getting rid of Sancho. He's getting rid of Onana. He's getting rid of this person. He's putting his stamp of authority. But now, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking at, the Rashford decision, and I'm thinking, Rashford's sitting in Barcelona laughing, because he's probably thinking, well, you made me the scapegoat and said that I trained so bad that you would play a 62-year-old goalkeeper. Where's that 62-year-old goalkeeper now that we need goals? We need him.
But definitely ahead of
it's the stubbornness. For me, it's the stubbornness with Amarim, and I do feel bad for him. Sometimes he looks defeated. The guy can barely watch. I don't know if you saw yesterday against Brentford.
I hate that though. Every time the camera pans to him, I don't like the fact that he's always got his head down. It's almost like he looks hopeless.
Yeah.
If you are the face of this club, because at the end of the day, managers are the face of the club in that moment in time. If you are constantly having your head down, shaking your head constantly, and they're coming out in presses and saying you don't know how this team's gonna play, what do you feel? What do you think the fans are gonna feel?
Forget that.
What do you expect the fans to feel?
What about the players?
And the players as well.
But the fans, come on, like he told us that he's suffering more than the fans.
Yeah, I refuse to agree with that.
He's suffering more.
No, I refuse to agree with that.
If he gets sacked, he'll get a 10 million or so payout. I don't think he's suffering as bad as us.
No, like it's just the thing about Amarim, he's got this. He's a very good speaker, and he's found this way of like every time you've fixated on your mind of we need to get rid of this guy, he finds a way to speak his way out of it and give you some sort of sweet talk and give you some sort of glimmer of hope. But I'm not falling for it no more. I just feel like even now, I feel like he's still. When he speaks, I feel like I'm almost offended because I feel like he's almost like insulting our intelligence. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching this week in, week out, not understanding why we have this quality. Like I said, the quality of players that we have at our disposal, and we are sitting consistently in the bottom half and not being able to put back-to-back wins. You can't explain that to me. He's statistically one of the worst managers in the league. We're averaging less than 1 point a game. You know, out of the total of 117 points, possible points since he's arrived, we've only managed, 32?
You stole that from Abs's
No,
video.
I did, absolutely. And I appreciate Abs for telling me that because it puts things, into better perspective because you look at the amount of points, the possible points.
Yeah.
To be sitting at 32, that's like, we're not, Graham Potter left. Yeah. On Saturday, got sacked on Saturday. Even he outperformed Amarim, and yet he still got walked out the door.
You're talking about the points per game.
Yeah.
Manchester United haven't won 10 games under Ruben Amarim in the league so far in a season and a bit. We've just started the second season, so
but almost coming to a year soon.
Coming up to 12 months. We're coming up to 12 months. You haven't
crazy.
Hit double. For me, that's the form of a relegation team, and I don't think people take it as serious as they should. Man United look like in last season, genuinely speaking, and I say this all the time, I was confident we wouldn't get relegated because the relegated teams were just so bad.
Yeah.
But this season, if
spooky.
the teams that came up are able to stay in that middle kind of area of the table, and then the teams like Wolves and West Ham are picking up points, Man United could find themselves in a scrap.
Yeah,
we could find ourselves in a relegation.
That's why that game against Sunderland on Saturday is a huge game.
It's a huge game for us, not for Sunderland.
Yeah, no, they're going into that game favourites.
Yeah, and that's why going into that game, I don't know why people are just like, oh, okay, let's try get a win against Sunderland.
No,
Sunderland have won 12 points so far in the season so far. Man United have picked up 11 points since April.
It's crazy.
They've won more points than us.
And what makes it worse, is they made that team. They put that team together this summer.
Yeah. Because a lot of them are newly recruited
so
players.
That starting 11 have only just been put together this season.
But I'm not gonna lie, Sunderland don't play free-flowing, exciting football. They get that goal. They yesterday on Saturday night. You know, Forest were applying a lot of pressure on them, especially in the second half. But they managed to see it through. And with United, I think they crumbled. Even for example, that Brentford game, at no point did I feel like Man United were gonna get that goal.
But that's the consistent theme under Amarim though. Don't you feel like that?
Yeah,
every game feels like that. Once we go behind, there's no way of us getting back into the game. How many games do you see with Amarim? We've gone behind, and it's just the rest of the game is just flat. We just get into these final third areas, and either the decision makers poor, or nothing really comes. So it's a half chance that kind of bounces off and doesn't really go anywhere. And then it's the same.
You know, one player who I think is just taking the game in his stride and doing what he wants, I think is Cunha. Yeah. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, but for example, if you watch the way that Mbumo plays and, you know, with the wing backs trying to put deliveries into the box, Cunha's like, F that, I'm going to drive at the player and shoot. I'm going for goal. But he needs a goal.
He needs a goal. That's what it is. But he's overdoing it as well a little bit. I felt like on Brentford, I think he was shooting way too often. I felt like there's times where he could have played the pass in, that final pass in, and he decided to shoot. But I understand. It's the frustration. It's the overthinking. It's the pressure of, you know, needing results. You're trailing. And this is what we do to good players. This is how we start to suck the life out. It's putting him in these type of scenarios. We're making them look average. But
if I was a Cunha or Mbumo, even Bruno, I would be frustrated even at the fact that, number one, because Cunha came out after the game saying that it's not on the manager and it's on the players to take responsibility for the result. I agree, because there's some decisions in the game where I'm like, okay, Amarim never told you to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, misplaced passes here, getting beaten in a foot race, mistiming a tackle, or misreading the air of the ball, etc.
But this is my question to you then. Do you feel like the players have kind of lost faith in the manager? Because I feel like that's what I'm seeing. I'm starting to see that they're losing faith in him, and it's showing with the type of performances they're putting out. They're not really buying into his idea anymore. I just feel like there was a time where they were trying, they just weren't good enough to do it. Now it's just like they're slowly, player by player, everyone just kind of phasing out of it and just feeling like this is dead.
Yeah, I think the players are losing faith, because at the end of the day, the manager's going to bear the brunt in terms of the criticism in the media, but the media also are going to, you know, I don't want to say scapegoat, but single out the players as well, because they're the ones on the pitch. Yeah. They're kind of trusted to kind of bring the manager's football to life. And it's like if you're, for example, if you're a teacher and the principal's making you teach IT and you're a maths teacher, I'm gonna be standing at the front of the class like, yo, I don't know what to do, guys. Do the homework do the work that's been set for you guys. I'm not gonna know what to do. And a lot of these players, that's the situation for them. You got, left wing backs who have the most involvement in build up or in the final third when your creative players or your 10s or your attacking players are just standing there stuck in the mud. Like Sesko is stuck in the mud in the box just waiting for a delivery to come in a lot of the time. I think he's been given instructions to just, lump the ball forward, win your aerial duel. It's about the second ball. But why do we have to do that? Why do we have to give the ball away to win it back more further up the pitch? Ten Hag used to do this as well. I don't know if you remember, but Ten Hag used to do this as well. So I get the players' frustration on their end. But even with them, it's some of the decisions for me lands on the manager. You look at the Brentford game and you think, okay, you've got a back five plus Ugarte. That's 6 kind of defensive players. To me, Patrick Dorgu is a left wing back. He offers something defensively, but for me, he's more like in that middle part.
His end product is awful.
But you got 5 defenders, and then Ugarte, and then you got a centre midfielder in Bruno who's hovering around that middle third, and then you got your 3 guys up front that are just waiting for the ball to come to them.
Yeah, you know my problem is as well. Like even in the game, like the game management, because like you said, Dorgu always ends up finding himself in those attacking positions, and his end product is so bad. But that's the problem. If you have Dorgu consistently being the highest man furthest up the pitch, it's always going to be an issue. But then my thing is also when Xerxes comes on, when Mount comes on, you are chasing the game. So at this point, we're 2-1 down. You're chasing the game for just 15 minutes, for just 10 minutes. Why are you still persistent to have that back 5? Why can you not just revert to a 4? Put as many attacking players up as you can, because we're chasing the game. My thing is, you put Mount on, you put Xerxes on, you put on Mainu, and you're still trying to keep the 5. That to me just doesn't make sense.
You're talking about those players. You bring in. There's no manager that changes his backline in game more than Amarim. 42 out of 49 games, he's changed the centre back trio.
It's crazy.
At some point in game. We talk about the front line. The back line can't build any cohesion together
because it's constantly changing.
It's literally a wheel that's going around of who's gonna play this game, and it's consistent. Personally, I look at this team and whenever I don't try to predict the lineups like before games, because you don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
it's true.
Forget the opponents. We as fans don't know who's gonna be starting in the game. But for me, I think on the team sheet, and this is applicable to any kind of team in top 5 football, even in Africa, in Asia, I think your back 4 is always consistent.
Always consistent.
Unless there's injuries or rotation.
It's so true.
Like for the big games, for the consistent games, for your bread and butter, for the league games, most teams, even in the Premier League, they've got their consistent kind of back five.
You can at least predict it. You know what's going to be.
Maybe Arsenal, they got a bit of rotation. They got Mascara. They've got a bit.
You could say,
but there's no drop off in their quality.
You could say to me what Arsenal's strongest back four is, and you could predict it.
I couldn't tell you what United's strongest back 5 is because I just see it changing so much. I can tell you who I prefer. Yeah. Who I prefer in terms of the centre back 3. I would tell you. I can tell you who I prefer. But even with the injuries again, in game, you're chasing the game like you said. You're making changes, but you're persisting with You're persisting so much with that back 5 that you're putting in Puma and Mount as wing backs at some point during the game. For me, that's insanity.
You know what I knew was a problem? It's when he did that against Grimsby. Like, we're playing against League 2, chasing a game, and you're still keeping the back 5, even when you've brought Mount on. Like, it's like, how can you be so scared to push forward or at least go to a back 4 when we're chasing a game against a League 2 side? That's when I knew this is a problem.
And also, I think it's also lazy conversation because I've seen it on Sky. I've seen it on so many different platforms about this idea of the back, the 3-4-3 that Glasner plays, the back 5 or back 3 that Inzaghi was playing and Conte with Chelsea, etc. It's not the same because even, again, with Inzaghi and Inter, if you watched Inter a lot under Inzaghi, you would know that Denzel Dumfries, despite being the right wing back, was kind of like a right mid a lot for them. Yes. And Bisek, who was the right-sided centre-back, used to cover that channel on the right.
And the same on the left side as well. And the same with
DeMarco as well. And even DeMarco would get back a lot more defensively. And when he would, it would create a back 4 because Dumfries would play and kind of congest that middle. Because for me, you cannot play football with a leaking midfield. it's impossible. That should be the core
of the team
of your team.
Yeah.
And when you have, I don't want to single out Ugarte because I think there's games for Ugarte.
I will single him out.
No,
me personally, I'll single him out because he's just not good enough.
But the Brentford game, for example, I would have kept Ugarte on. I would have kept him on. I would have taken off Bruno because he was on a yellow card, and despite that, even up until that penalty, Bruno was not in the game at all. His fingerprints were not on the game in any sort of capacity.
But yeah,
and once he got that yellow card, Bruno's temperament in game. Yeah. And I just felt like his mind wasn't there. So I would have taken that risk and bring on Kobe, leave Ugarte on, because I do think there's games for Ugarte, but I don't think it's consistent games.
Wait, that's my problem. I feel like when games like Brentford away, where then this is not the same Brentford we've seen
couple years ago. Yeah.
This is a weakened Brentford side that have lost their manager, Thomas Frank. They have lost Mbeumo, who plays for us now, who lost Wissa, who lost all their best players, Norgard to Arsenal. And they've already registered 1 win. So this is realistically a side that's going to be for majority of this season in and around the relegation zone. We should be taking the game to them.
Yeah,
so for me,
letting
it's like,
them dictate it. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, it's like we should all consistently be on the front foot. We should be going for it. We should be attacking. We should have most of the ball. So for me, I'll start Mainu because I know Mainu, that's his strength. He can keep the ball well. He can pass. He could drive with the ball. You want to start on the front foot. So play a player like Mainu. You playing Ugarte against Brentford, and then it almost feels like you've gone into the game saying it's risk management. Basically. We're gonna try to protect ourselves and try to maybe get the goal and then play it safe. Why?
But even with just on the topic of Ugarte, or just on the topic of our midfield, I think the biggest problem with the midfield is the fact that he's persistent with Bruno at that, and I like Bruno Fernandes, and that's why it goes back to kind of questions about the recruitment in the summer, bringing in. If you brought in 2 10s or, 2 attacking players that play in the position of your most beloved player as the manager.
And our best player last season.
I think there was a decision there to be made about Bruno instead of now. I don't want to say he's causing the imbalance of the team because I think there's a lot of players in different positions that you're thinking, what the hell? But I do think that midfield problem is probably the biggest problem, and that is because the manager is persistent with Bruno. And that's not me singling out Bruno because I like Bruno, but I think I liked Bruno last season, for example, when he would start in the 10 and then kind of drift off to the central midfield role 70 minutes into the game. He was able to do that role, but when you play him there from the beginning, I actually think Ugarte, you're doing a disservice to his partner.
Yes,
you're doing a disservice to his partner because Bruno in game is drifting up a lot. And in the Brentford game, I was just watching that midfield, and all I could see was Ugarte going left to right, and he's trying to cover that entire
space
of the midfield, which is impossible.
No, it's kind of like with Casemiro under Ten Hag.
Yeah,
it's just quite a similar situation as well. But this is the thing, it's not complicated. It's a simple fix, and this is why I feel like even myself, if they gave me the interim job. Wallahi, I'm putting up more results than Amra. I'm putting Wallahi on the line.
This guy's swearing on God, guys.
Do you know why? Because all it takes is Bruno in the cam. You got on the left of him, Cunha. On the right of him, Mbeumo. Then you put your 2 midfielders there, and there's more protection. Yeah. There's more protection.
It's so easy, but why is it so difficult?
Football's not rocket science as well. Look, you know what it is? I understand philosophies. I understand tactics. I understand game evolving, and I understand that sometimes you need to do things to outclass the other manager tactically. But some things, wallahi, football can sometimes be simple by just making the obvious choices first. Put Bruno in the 10. Put him in the 10. And then get your other midfielder to partner Ugarte and you're good.
No, but that I think shows the insanity with the manager persisting with this. Because also, what is the funniest thing, guys? It's funny now because we can laugh about it because we're crap. But you're playing that many defenders and you're still conceding that many goals. It's crazy.
It doesn't make sense. It's not making sense.
And we haven't even spoken about the goalkeeper thing because I'm not going to lie, when United brought Sen Lemons, I was like, okay, I didn't know much about him. I watched a bit about him, read a bit about him. I thought, okay, cool. But then now you're persistently saying that he's not ready to start yet and Bayinda hasn't done anything.
I don't buy that, by the way. I don't buy into that.
I think he's a club signing. I think he's a club signing.
But even then, I don't buy into it because it's like, you look at Donnarumma, for example. Yes, I have Donnarumma. That's
we should have went for him. I don't care about his wages. I don't care about his wages.
I understand it.
You need a good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Go get the best on the market.
I would have got Emi Martinez even. I would have said go even get the money that I would have said even spend a bit more and just get Emi Martinez a proven Premier League goalkeeper. I would have been even happy with Emi Martinez. But my thing is this. you've seen the quality of performances that Bayinda puts out.
Yeah.
It's no different to Onana. Maybe at times it's even worse.
He's just good with his feet. That's it. To an extent.
My thing is, you got a keeper that's winning. Like that's a new keeper. It's gonna feel like a bit of a fresh start. Maybe the players will feel a bit more secure having somebody behind that they're not necessarily that they know of, but it's kind of like that this keeper hasn't got any history of making certain errors. So you might feel a little bit more secure letting certain scenarios happen. And you know what I'm trying to say to you? It's like it's a mind thing.
It's a mind games.
Always, whenever you have whenever you've been there, you're always uneasy. Even as a fan, forget as a player. Even as a fan, you're always uneasy because whether it's 1-0 up or whether it's 1-0 down, any given moment, this keeper can let you down. And I feel like if you've got a keeper that's just come in, the bar is so low.
You just need to make.
You just need to catch the ball at this point.
That's it.
So I'm like, there's no excuse not to play him. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like it's like Donnarumma just coming to Man City and he's already straight away first opportunity. He's just gone in there.
No, but that's again. This is why I think the manager. Some of the players are his choice and some are not. Because even with Sesko, he was eased in. Didn't make his first start until a couple of games into the season, despite the fact that I felt like he was probably more ready than any other player that we probably brought in that summer. And the manager kept saying he's not ready. He's not ready to start. He's not ready to start. And we won't know if Sesko and the keeper and Mbeumo Cunha, who was a manager signing and who was a kind of club signing. But for me, is if you're going out and buying players in the window when you need a replacement for their position, you start them.
Yeah.
You start them. You don't do this kind of weaning them into the role. They're not kids.
They're
experienced.
Yeah.
They don't need to wait and have like San Lemons. I'm not gonna lie, but despite the fact that he played in the Belgian league, he had one of the highest claimed percentages coming into the new season from last season. Statistically, he's better than anything that Manchester United have. So what's the worst you can do? It can't be worse than what we have.
It's like the bar's low.
Yeah, it can't
just throw him in.
Yeah, it can't be.
How worse could it be? I'll be shocked. I'll be like, if he was to be worse than what we already have, we're
bad luck.
I'll give up with football because I'll be like, we just can't catch a break at this point. So for me, it's like just throw the guy in there, and there's so many areas. That's why every time someone asks me about Manchester United, how I feel about Amarim, my head starts spinning because I'm like,
there's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. Where do I even begin? Well, like literally,
I hear it, and you know what? Sunderland on the weekend, and then another international break. Yeah, I'm low key. I'm a little bit happy. Yeah, I can't lie. I'm a little bit happier, but I'm looking forward. But I'm not looking forward to what's waiting for us after this.
It's Liverpool way,
Liverpool at Anfield is a spooky game. Despite the fact that under Amarim last season
we did well.
We did decent, but I think that was a completely. I don't think it was a disintegrated 11 that we had. Right now, I don't think every time I think that we can't hit any deeper than rock bottom. Amarim's like, here you go.
Another one.
Another one. Every time I think, this is the worst of the worst. Nope. That weekend, something worse is even waiting for me. So I'm just holding my breath at this point. Just thinking, okay, when are Ineos going to make that decision? Because even I question Amarim, I question the players, but I question them a lot.
Yes.
I question them so much with the situation with Ten Hag, with the situation with Dan Ashworth, paying money to get him out of gardening leave so he can come and start Manchester United role. Yeah. Getting rid of him after a couple of months because reportedly he questioned the decision of changing the entire tactical system of the setup with a new manager in the middle of the season. People have to, if Amarim gets sacked, people have to follow.
Question
People have to follow. People in the Ineos structure, Jim Ratcliffe needs to be like, okay, you brought him in, you made the decision,
But he was also part of the process.
But don't you think he's a bit too involved?
And that's the thing. I feel like he can't keep. But I feel like he's so involved that he's also part to play. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? From when you're making all these cuts and you're making all these decisions to, in your eyes, benefit the football club, the least you can do is at least give us something to kind of be like, okay, it's justifiable. All these cuts you're making, all these tough decisions you're making, it's leading to something. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? Like, but when it's coming, like so far, every decision they've made, every big decision they've made. Did you see the report
today from Simon Stone on BBC saying that Jim Ratcliffe supports Amarim and believes that he should get a full season with the squad?
I saw that.
You're going to give him a full season to send us to the championship?
Yeah.
Because we're going to go championship. No. Tell QPR we're getting ready for away days.
Commentary away. Like, it's going to be, I'm telling you now, October, it's going to be a dark month. And the reason why I say it's going to be a dark month is because either we lose all our games or we could go through the same performances and then we end up still seeing that this man is still in charge, Or we lose, we get another manager in, and the manager we end up getting in is a manager that...
Listen, the bar...
A manager that we don't want. I don't even get into the...
You don't want to say the name.
You know, I don't want to say the name.
You don't want to say the name.
So I just think next month is a dark month regardless. I think it's going to be a very dark October. That's my prediction. I think October...
the clocks are going to change.
A lot of things are going to...
be a lot
I think
earlier.
October's going to be dark for Man United. I'll be real.
I can't lie, you're making me scared.
Well,
but you know what? I'm like, I've been through so much in the last decade and a bit as a United fan. Yeah, I'm numb to it. I just feel like United every season they're like, let's see how much worse we can make the fans feel.
We're
last season wasn't enough. This season, let's see how much worse we can make you feel.
We become a social experiment. Like, let's see how much we can break them. Let's how much. I think that's how it's. That's literally what it's kind of like got to now. But
I'm deep in it. It's actually bad.
Yeah, no, it is bad.
The situation is bad, guys. Let us know your thoughts down below. LIBAN, man, let them know where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me on YouTube, LIBAN LDN, also on Instagram and Twitter, or X now is what they call it. Also on TikTok as well. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure. Well, I have been on your channel. Yeah, I feel like every time we come, we always come at a crisis.
Yeah, it's always a crisis. Yeah,
it's always at a crisis. Yeah, now it's Amarim. It's crazy. It's crazy. But you need to bring me on when there's good times and good energy.
We haven't had good times.
It's mad.
There has been no good times.
It's mad. It's
for
crazy.
me to bring you on, but I promise you, I'll put a note on. Inshallah, I'll bring you on when there's good times.
Yes,
at Manchester United.
Likewise,
let us know your thoughts, guys, down below. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. If you're new here, we're out.